I'm no tech genius, but I knew if I wanted my business to crush it, I needed a website now. Thankfully, Bluehost made it easy. I customized, optimized, and monetized everything exactly how I wanted with AI. In minutes, my site was up. I couldn't believe it. The search engine tools even helped me get more site visitors. Whatever your passion project is, you can set it up with Bluehost. With their 30-day money-back guarantee, what do you got to lose? Head to Bluehost.com. That's BLUEHOST.com to start now.
Welcome to Complete BS, the official podcast of couch coaches everywhere. Not just football. It's every sport that ruins your parlay, wrecks your fantasy week, and still brings you back for more. Buzzer beaters, blown leads, and brackets in flames. Yeah, we're all over it. Unfiltered takes, armchair analysis, and enough bold opinions to fill a playbook. Hosted by Brien Schmauch, sports junkie, the Saban of stats, and your official voice of, I could coach better than that. Let's go.
Welcome, Couch Coach Nation. If you're confused listening to this now and saying it's not Tuesday, we made a scheduling change to bring more information to you sooner. Our recap episodes will now be on Mondays, and our previews will come out on Thursdays. Friday, we'll have tailgate talk for you that'll bring quick information to get you ready for the weekend tailgates. Now, week 5 of college football, this is one that had been marked all offseason as must-see viewing. We had 4 ranked teams give us bonus football by going to overtime. In all, there were 11 games involving 15 ranked teams that were decided by one possession. Even if your team didn't win, week 5 gave us everything we wanted. September games are in the books, and we're turning our attention to October, and we'll really start to see some separation both nationally and within the conference. AV, did week 5 live up to the billing?
Week 5 delivered, my man. Always does. College football always delivers, but lots of ranked matchups, big-time games that we were looking forward to. Most of them were exciting and close and overtime and big-time plays. I think it was the first weekend where all the games we were excited to watch were actually good games.
Ole Miss, they beat LSU 24-19. And Trinidad Chambliss, I don't know how long you're going to start, but my man, you are in the Heisman conversation. You got 3 starts, and you've gone over 300 yards passing in all 3 games, added 71 yards on the ground. The only thing that's going to limit him this year is Lane Kiffin and maybe Austin Simmons if he comes back. Caden Durham was out for LSU, and they couldn't get the ball going on the ground. They only had 57 yards on 22 carries. Garrett Nussmeier had all this hype coming into the season, and he's more of Quinn Ewers than Joe Burrow. He's an average quarterback, and he's going to get an NFL GM fired if they take him in the first round. Ole Miss, they've got back-to-back road games in October at Georgia and at Oklahoma. And while both teams have holes, they're both going to be a lot more physical than Ole Miss has seen. That's going to dictate whether or not Ole Miss has a shot of getting to Atlanta for the SEC championship game and what their playoff hopes look like.
Here's the thing with LSU. They've got a good defense. A lot of people think it's elite, and I don't think it's elite. I think it's good, though. For the people out there who think I'm saying their defense is no good, I'm not. The problem with that is their offense stinks. So their defense has to be elite to beat good teams. The Ole Miss game, the first half, they gave up almost 300 yards, 17 points. Should have been 24 points. The guy fumbles on the 3-yard line on his way into the end zone. So you're giving up 24 points and 300 yards in the first half. That's not elite. The second half, they only give up 1 touchdown, but the final drive, Ole Miss gets the ball with 5.5 minutes left, and they just run the clock out. That's not an elite defense either. But they probably play good enough to win if their offense didn't stink. So I think when LSU goes up against really good teams, they're going to lose. They're going to at least struggle unless Nussmeier gets it together. I think that's where LSU is right now. They've got a good defense, and if they play less talented teams, they'll probably win based on their defense, i.e. Florida and Clemson. But when they face a team that can actually play offense, they're going to struggle to win.
Well, moving on, we've got Alabama 24, Georgia 21. Alabama snapped Georgia's 33-game home winning streak. Watching Ty Simpson and Gunnar Stockton was like watching a varsity quarterback and a JV quarterback. Stockton was so overmatched. As close as the game was, the score never felt like Alabama wasn't in control, and they never trailed. Bama was 13 for 19 on 3rd down. Georgia just couldn't get them off the field. They held the ball for 10 minutes more than Georgia. I know the score says this was a 3-point game. It sure didn't feel like that way. It felt like Alabama dominated this start to finish.
It did. The only time that it didn't, to me at least, is in the second half when Georgia started pounding the rock. So that's an out point for Alabama's defense. They can't stop the run very well. That's why Florida State beat them, and it's why Georgia got it down to 3-point deficit. But Alabama's offense is good. Ty Simpson, good. Him and Diego Pavia, I think, are the two best quarterbacks in the SEC. That play to Caden Proctor was one of the most impressive plays I've seen a tackle make. He was running over people.
With that Georgia running game late, it started to remind me of the Tennessee game, and I thought, oh, they're going to come back and they're going to really take control of this game on the ground. But again, I think Alabama really dominated them. The other game at 7:30, Oregon 30, Penn State 24. I mentioned on Friday's show, I thought this was going to be a really low-scoring game in the first half. Teams were going to be feeling themselves out and not wanting to commit a turnover, and we were 3-3 at the half, and then the second half, we got some more scoring. Hats off to Dante Moore, who I thought was going to have some growing pains in that kind of atmosphere, and he delivered. Oregon, with the remainder of their schedule, I think they've locked up a spot in the playoff already. Their schedule's not that difficult the rest of the way. Even if they drop a game, I think they're in the playoff, and they're the only team right now that I would say is 100% in the playoffs. Penn State had 139 yards rushing and 137 yards passing, which I guess is balance, but it's not good. And Nick Singleton, where did you go? 11 carries, 21 yards for a whopping 1.9 yards per carry. AV, talk to me.
I think some of that is Franklin just being conservative. He punted from the Oregon 36. Aller didn't look great, but they didn't open up the offense till the very end when they came back and tied it up. He started pushing the ball downfield a little bit. I think there's something to be said for Franklin in big games. Not that he's not a good coach, but I think he tightens up a little bit or something. I think the story of this game is Dante Moore. One of the reasons I thought Penn State would win is Dante Moore going into a whiteout atmosphere and how can he perform? And he was the best quarterback on the field by far. It wasn't even close. So hats off to him. That game went to overtime, but Oregon controlled it for 3.5 quarters. Tip of the cap to Penn State for fighting back and tying it, but the better team won. I believe that.
I would agree. Game balls, Jeremiah Love, the best running back in college football, only had 57 yards rushing on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns, but added 5 catches and 70 yards with 2 more touchdowns. Doing some quick math, that tells me 19 touches, 127 yards, and 4 times he found the end zone. Diego Pavia for Vanderbilt, 26 of 34, 321 yards and 5 touchdowns, but he also added 9 carries and 79 yards with a touchdown. That's a 400-yard game and 6 TDs. He's taking that show on the road next week to Tuscaloosa. Rematch against Bama, where Vanderbilt won last year. This is going to be an interesting game that we'll preview later this week. AV, you got a game ball?
Yeah, I'm going to give mine to Ty Simpson. I talked about him a little earlier. I think the 2 games after Florida State, he was a combined 41 of 46 for 600 yards. He was 24 of 38 against Georgia, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, ran for another touchdown. Throw Ty Simpson's name into that Heisman talk. If they run the table, it'll be because of him.
Absolutely. So one of the things that came up this year is different players, teams, coaches that we've got questions for. And for me, Drew Aller, Andy Kolenecki, and ultimately James Franklin, I've got questions. Aller has completed less than 63% of his passes on the season. Of the 18 starting quarterbacks in the Big Ten, he's ranked 15th in completion percentage. 2 of the 3 below him are true freshmen. His 763 yards rank 14th in the Big Ten. He's got 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. This is a team that was set to go all the way this year. They had playoff experience. They've got the coaching staff. They've got all the players, potential All-Americans all over. And Drew Aller's holding you back. Maybe Kolenecki, maybe Franklin. There's a problem here with this offense. Give Oregon credit. They had a plan in place and they executed it, but Aller needs to play better. He was the senior quarterback in this game, and you got 2 weeks to figure this out. You go first road trip this season to UCLA, not a very good team, and then home for Northwestern. And then you've got a 3-game stretch where you go at Iowa, tough place to play, tough defense, at Ohio State that you haven't beaten in about a decade, and home for Indiana. You can lose all 3 of those. You're going to have to go 2-1, I believe, to get into the playoff. I think in these next 2 weeks, we need to see Ethan Grunkenmeyer in some meaningful snaps because he might be a better chance for you to win those big games later this season than what Drew Aller's giving you right now. now. AV, I know you got questions.
Well, that was a good one, by the way. I think there should be questions about Drew Aller. I have questions about LSU's offense, the running game in particular. Me and you talked about Iowa's offense a couple of weeks ago and how Gronowski threw for 80 yards, and you just can't win against good teams throwing for 80 yards. LSU ran for 59 yards. Who are you going to beat with that? Not a team that can score, not hardly anybody. Harlan Berry, the 5-star running back, number 1 running back in the country, 7 carries, 22 yards, 3.1. They had 19 carries for 59 yards, a 3.4 average. They can't run the ball, and they refuse to run the ball. So Sloan, the offensive coordinator, Brad Davis, the offensive line coach, and also Alex Atkins, their offensive line analyst, whatever his title is, they can't run the ball. It's embarrassing. It's holding the team back. It's affecting Nussmeier, and it drains the defense that's played well overall. They have to start running the ball if they want to win any games against any good teams. Imagine them trying to run the ball against Georgia. It's going to be negative yards at this rate. Now, I do believe things can be fixed and things can improve throughout the season. So I'm not here to tell you this is how it's going to be, but I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel right now.
It's certainly not going to get any easier in the SEC. We'll be back on Thursday with former Florida State All-American and first-round draft choice Corey Simon talking Miami and Florida State. You can follow Complete BS on X and Instagram, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to Complete BS. Be sure to subscribe, share, and follow us online. And tell us what you think of this episode. Use hashtag CouchCoachNation, and let's keep the conversation going.